In this video, I'm going to share 6 mistakes that you don't want to make in your fall garden. Fall gardens are so much easier than summer gardens. There's less heat, less pests, but there are a few things you need to know to make the most of your fall garden. Skip these mistakes and you'll get maximum fall production. The first one is not paying attention to or not knowing your first frost date. Let me know in the comments what your first frost date is if you know it and where in the world you are. I'll leave a link in the video description. If you don't know your frost date, you can check it there. Once you know your first frost date, you need to remember that unlike spring, the days get shorter and cooler as the weeks go on. So that affects the speed that plants will grow. They may not go from seed to harvest, just like the seed packet says, because those dates and times are usually based on springtime. So this package of beets says it's going to take 60 days seed to harvest in the spring, but we have to add a fall delay to that number. 2 weeks is usually a good time to add to that. So if it says 60 days, you want to think about it being more like 74 days. Just add 14 days to whatever the seed packet says. Does that make sense so far? So let's say your first average frost date is October 15th. Now counting backward from October 15th, we should have sown these seeds mid-August. Now this isn't a perfect way of doing things. There are no perfect ways of doing anything. The great thing is most cool season crops can take frosts and even snow. Most can't take a freeze though. So unless your first frost comes with a freeze, you can probably add 2 or more weeks on there. You can also opt to get transplants from the garden center. Yes, you have less variety to choose from, but it's definitely better than nothing. Growing from transplants will take 3 to 5 weeks off of the timeline for that crop. They'll be ahead because they're already growing and you're getting them into the ground early to enjoy whatever warmth remains of late summer. So that's going to move them forward much, much faster. The second mistake is not taking advantage of ways to extend your season. You can use fleece or floating row covers on your plants that can keep the inside nighttime temperature 5 to 10 degrees warmer than outside. I'll put Amazon links below to some of these row covers. Another thing you can do, it's a little more work, but you can make mini hoop house on your raised beds or over an in-ground bed. I'm actually going to be showing you how to do that on next week's video, so make sure you're subscribed and have the bell notification hit. A hoop house can raise daytime and nighttime temperatures up to 10 degrees. That can give you either that or the row covers can really extend your season by weeks or even months in some climates. However, fall throws another curveball in here if you live in a climate where it's still warm. If you're still warm, cool season crops are not going to germinate very easily at those high temperatures. They want to be below 80 degrees Fahrenheit to germinate. So what can you do? In that case, you'll want to start your seeds indoors under grow lights until temperatures have leveled off to 80 degrees or lower. Then feel free to put them outside. If you think that sounds too expensive or like too much work, I have another video. I'll put a link down in the video description I did for grow lights on every budget, literally every budget. So take a look at that. It doesn't have to be expensive, but another thing you can do is look at your upcoming forecast. If there's a week to a week and a half coming up where temperatures will be in that ideal range of 80 or lower, start them outside in that time span. And even if the weather heats up after that time span, that's okay because the plants will grow fine in higher heat, but they will not germinate very easily in higher heat. So once you're past the germination, it's fine. You can also start them indoors with no grow light, but you'll need to put them outside in the sun as soon as they germinate. The fourth mistake is not topping up your beds. Now, if you're not growing a fall garden, you can do this in the spring. But if you are, topping up your beds with a couple inches of new compost is going to reinvigorate the soil and the beneficial creatures and bacteria in the soil. And don't mix it in, leave it as a layer on top. This is going to provide a physical barrier between any pathogens, any bad bacteria in the soil and your plants next season, or this season if you're growing this year. The fifth mistake is not taking into account that sun falls differently on your garden in the summer versus the fall and winter. The sun is much lower in the sky and shadows from surrounding trees or buildings can shade areas that in summer were full sun. That doesn't mean you can't grow anything in these areas. Brassicas do well with a little shade, as do lettuces and most greens. The sixth mistake is not growing a fall garden at all. But if you've waited too late or for whatever reason you're not growing one, don't let the beds sit all winter long. Click on this video right here to learn how to prepare your garden for winter. Don't just let them sit. Your future spring self will thank you. I'll see you guys next time.